Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today is Sunday, and that means it's time to do some technical analysis and prepare ourselves for the upcoming week. If you watched the market on Friday, you saw great earnings from both Snapchat and Twitter. Anything that makes money through ad revenue had a monster day on Friday. So we had Snap, we had Twitter, we had Google, which is primarily ad revenue through YouTube, and then we had that monster continuation move on Facebook. So a lot of movers last week, a lot of stocks that we need to be aware of. So in today's video, we're going to review 5 stocks that I'm watching next week for potential continuation with that strength that we saw on Friday. Again, we have some big earnings next week as well, so we have to be aware of that as well. Let's go ahead and jump into this video. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to stay tuned for more videos and the live streams every single morning, press that bell notification button down below. All right, guys, so before we get into the stocks, on your screen, you're going to see next week's earnings schedule. I quickly want to go over this so that you are all prepared and you all know what's coming out next week, so that if you're in a position, if you're thinking about taking a position, you want to make sure you know about these earnings. So Monday is pretty big. We have Tesla. We have Logitech, 2 relatively big ones, but Tesla is going to be pretty fun. Fun to watch, fun to see what happens. I think a lot of people are going to be watching this. We'll look at the technicals today on Tesla. That is one of our stocks. So we'll definitely go over Tesla in today's video. But make sure you know Monday, Tesla after hours earnings report. Tuesday before open, we have some Dow stocks, UPS, GE, 3M. We have JetBlue. Those are some big ones. Tuesday after hours, Apple, AMD, Microsoft, Google. 4 huge ones to watch. So Tuesday is going to be a big day. 4 gigantic tech stocks there on Tuesday. Wednesday before open, Boeing, Shopify, Pfizer, Tilray, the weed stocks if you want to watch that. McDonald's, Spotify, that's another big morning there. Wednesday after close, Facebook, Ford, PayPal, Qualcomm, some huge ones there. Yum China, so Yum Brands, the restaurant business. So that's another one to watch there on Wednesday after close. Before open Thursday, MasterCard. That's about the biggest one there. You have Altria, but when Thursday before open, MasterCard's the one to watch. Thursday after close, another big day. Amazon, Pinterest, Twilio, some big ones there. And then we close the week next week with Exxon, Caterpillar, AbbVie, a great dividend stock, P&G, and Chevron. So you guys can see, looking at this right here, looking at this calendar, some of the biggest companies out there reporting earnings. It's going to be a very important week. You're going to want to see good reports from these companies. If these get some bad reports, this could definitely affect the market in a negative way, or it could set us up for even further all-time highs. So a big week, a lot of stocks moving into these reports. Let's go ahead and jump into the 5 stocks that I am watching. All right, guys, so number 1 here is Square. Square was a stock that we've been watching for some time now, and I'm going to show you the technicals that we've been sort of talking about almost every morning on the live stream. So first of all, the first thing that you see here in Square is that over the last about 6 months, 5 or 6 months, we have been pretty sideways. We've been trading in this channel. Now, the first way to quickly tell that is just looking at the moving averages. You guys can see these moving averages are sort of just moving around, sort of staying sideways, not in much of a trend. Whereas before, back in November and October of last year, you can see how the 20, the 50, and 100 were all moving higher together. Now you can see these moving averages have been sort of just flip-flopping back and forth in this sideways channel. So right now, Square, I think, is in a little bit of a accumulation phase, a sideways phase, potentially setting up for another hot streak to the upside. Of course, it could go either way, but usually we see this in stocks. We see those big moves higher, we see that accumulation, the sideways movement, and then potentially another leg higher. This is something that you could also be seeing on Amazon. You guys have been watching Amazon. It's been trading sideways for almost a year. Maybe it's time for this thing to move higher, or it's time to go lower. Of course, I don't know what's going to happen, but I like this accumulation that Square is building, and I definitely want to watch this not only in the short term, but in the long term. Even just buying shares of this company could definitely pay off. In the short term, if we just break this down, of course, we have earnings coming up in around August 5th, so not next week, the week after. But what we have been watching on the live streams and in the Discord chat was the stair-stepping pattern that Square has been building. So the first support that we've built is the clear support down here at 203. We have a little bit of a quad bottom here. I don't know if that's a real technical term, but I'm just going to call it a quad bottom. 1, 2, 3, and we have 4 right here. So 4 times Square has bounced off this 203 level. Let's just call it 200 flat. So we know that is very strong support. We got that bounce off. We got a high. We came back down. This was your first stair step right here. So you have these highs and you have this new demand zone, or this new supply zone that was built after it fell off of it right around in the beginning of June. Now, after we fell off in June, we pushed through that level. And what did we do after? Instead of just going straight up, we came back to retest it. So you guys can see right here, resistance turning into support. And what did we do? We retested it once again on the most recent little fall on the market over the last few weeks. We came back, retested this 225, and bounced beautifully off that level. So a nice little stair step pattern. Now Square is creating another stair step higher. This right here is your next stair step. So if you have missed Square from this, at this point, if you're not in Square or you haven't taken a trade on Square, now what you want to see is this pull back to this stair step and do the exact same thing that it just did right here. So you want to see Square continue to stair step higher, make those highs, retest support, turning previous resistance into support. And that's what I want to see here on Square. Instead of chasing this thing right here, I would rather wait for this pullback, wait for an entry back at previous resistance, turn it into support, take an entry here for that push to all-time highs. Now, of course, maybe we don't get that pullback. Maybe, PayPal earnings is really strong. PayPal is sometimes a stock that Square will move with, similar companies, similar fintech business model. And maybe if PayPal reports great earnings next week, we get that continuation or that sympathy move on Square, and we never get to see it come back to 250. Now, if we do get that pullback, I am definitely interested in Square back at 250 per share, potentially for actually a very nice swing trade opportunity here. So next week, I'm definitely watching Square. The reason I'm watching it is, one, because we got this big move through resistance, this 250 resistance, we broke through it, and now we are pushing towards these highs, maybe up to around this 275 level, where we have this previous double top here on Square. Now, if we don't get to 275, I'm going to be watching this 250 as a break and retest entry. So a break of resistance, a pullback to resistance right here for previous resistance turning into support. And then I want to see if I can get that move. But, I'm just looking at this because it has done it in the past. So you can see a break and retest right here of 225. I want to see that same formation come in here on Square and create that next stair step higher. So that's Square. A lot of momentum in this name. We have earnings coming up. If tech stays strong, if the NASDAQ has another great week through all-time highs last week, maybe we get Square up to this 275. If you go right to that level, I would be a little bit concerned about potential resistance in this area, this previous all-time high area right here. So I'm going to turn this red so that we know next week there is definitely going to be some resistance up here at these all-time highs. If we fail off that level, I am looking to see if Square can come back to this 250, turn that resistance into support. Number 2, along with Square, is PayPal. Now, PayPal did something very beautiful as well, a beautiful break and retest here. You guys can see this. So break, retest, you double bottomed here at 288, a beautiful little hold here at 288. So we know that this support here at 288 is very strong. You guys can see it broke higher, came back and retested it, and now we are pushing to all-time highs. We have earnings next week, so an entry here at all-time highs is a little bit difficult. I would rather see if PayPal can maybe pull back. Maybe it comes back to the 20-day moving average. But just looking at this technical formation on PayPal, I wanted to bring this up in today's video because this is a really nice move higher, a retest of previous resistance, and a nice push back off that level. So I'm watching PayPal, I'm watching Square, two stocks that are potential sympathy plays for each other. If PayPal reports great, sometimes we see that movement on Square. PayPal is going to be reporting first. So if you don't want to play PayPal for earnings, maybe you play Square, you try to catch that sympathy move like we saw on Facebook with Twitter and Snapchat earnings. So this one is one to watch. If we go to the 4-hour chart, we can also take a look at this here. We can look at the 20-day, and maybe we see if this thing can hold the 20-day in the short term. So you've seen that it started to hold the 20-day back here. A few times came back to the 50 came back to 100. So I'm definitely going to be watching these moving averages next week for some short-term upside support. On the daily chart, it's not as easy to use these moving averages because you can see they're pretty far down, and there's probably no way that PayPal comes down to the 50-day next week, which is all the way down here. But if you go down to the 4-hour, you can see that these moving averages are staying up to date here. So you had the 20-day cross over the 50. That is a bullish indication. Maybe we see if we can try to catch a pullback to the 20-day, or we just leave this thing alone, wait for earnings to come out, see where it goes, and take a play off that. But I wanted to bring this up in today's video because you have PayPal and Square, two stocks that like to move together, not one-to-one correlation, but definitely similar business models, usually move together on earnings. So I wanted to bring PayPal up in today's video as well and show you this very nice little 288 support that had a little bit of a double bottom and a push to all-time highs on Friday. So PayPal is number 2 that I'm watching for continuation into next week. All right, guys, number 3 is the crazy mover from Friday, and that is Facebook. So let's go ahead and do some analysis here on Facebook. So here is the first level that was very, very nice. We had a little bit of a break and retest here on Facebook. As you guys can probably tell already in this video, this happens quite a bit on the market, and if you can catch these break and retests for maybe swing trades or even day trades, you can really do well with some of these technical formations. So a break higher, a retest of this previous demand zone here. Previous resistance, turning it into a little bit of a support area here on Facebook around 336, 340. Nice bounce, 50-day moving average hold, and a beautiful push higher. Now, definitely a little extended, just jumping in here on Monday. I probably wouldn't recommend that. A huge move on Friday. So if we go to, the 1-minute chart just to see Friday's action, this was Friday here, just a huge move on Friday. But if we go back to the daily chart, we know that there could potentially be some continuation here on Facebook. I don't think Monday or Tuesday we're just going to come right back down and fill that gap. Facebook looked very strong. I think there's a lot of people that are very optimistic on their earnings after seeing what Snap and Twitter did. If Snap and Twitter can do good with ad revenue, you bet that Facebook had a good quarter as well, and that is why you saw that move on Friday. So I think there could still be some upside here next week. Of course, you want to be aware that it is sitting at all-time highs, that it had a huge move on Friday. Maybe it gives you a little morning pullback, maybe a washout long opportunity, but you have to watch Facebook next week. That's why I'm bringing it into this video, because you have to be watching it next week. You need to see what the price action is showing. If this thing just takes off once again, then you definitely want to be looking at this for a potential trade, because the strength in it on Friday was really strong, something that I have not seen on Facebook for some time. Look at this gap up, look at this daily candle. You really have not seen a daily candle that big in some time on Facebook, so the momentum is definitely in this name. If you get a pullback, this level should be on watch. Right here around 358, it'd be nice to see Facebook try to retest this level. If we get that retest, that is going to be a potential great entry here on Facebook. Break of previous resistance, pull back the previous resistance, turn it into support, and see if you can get a push higher. But either way, Facebook, a lot of momentum from last week. Friday was crazy strong. Twitter and Snapchat earnings gave it that sympathy move. You have earnings this coming week. So you either play it into earnings if you want. Maybe you get that push into the earnings date. But of course, as always, if you're trading options, make sure to know about implied volatility crush and make sure you know about the expected move before taking plays on stocks into earnings. Next one here, Tesla. I'm only bringing this up because we have earnings on Monday, tomorrow. It hasn't been doing much in the short term. If you're someone that loves trading Tesla, it's been under a lot of pressure. You guys can see here, this downtrend has sort of been holding. It's not really, right on the downtrend. I would more put the downtrend right around here. You can see because it's pushing these previous highs here, the previous highs here. So the downtrend really is sort of right here, and it is sort of turning that downtrend into support, but you're also getting another short-term downtrend here under a lot of pressure right now on Tesla. Now, of course, this earnings could be the catalyst that it needs to potentially break out of this downtrend. Maybe you call this a flag pattern. Maybe this is a little bit of a pullback here on Tesla, and maybe the earnings is the catalyst you need to push this thing through 700. But looking at Tesla on the daily chart, if we zoom in here onto Tesla and we sort of scale this up so we can see this a little bit closer, you guys can see we definitely have some great support at 620. So 620 is the support level that we need to see hold. The reason I say that is because you had a double bottom right here, 1 and 2, 620 double bottom, and this was right at previous resistance. So this previous resistance has turned into support 2 times here in the last few weeks. So a very important level there at 620. I'm definitely going to be watching that. If we break through that 620 on earnings, if we get a negative report, or if Wall Street doesn't like what they see and we break through this 620, that is going to be a little bit concerning because that is a very important support level. Or if we get a big move higher on earnings, I want to see this a little bit of this downtrend break. You can call it just around here, a little bit of a downtrend, but really, if you just ignore the downtrend, what it really is just a channel here on Tesla. So 700, the 695s is the top here of this channel. The bottom of this channel right now is 620. So you do not want to see it go below this 620 if you're a bull. If you're a bear, you do not want to see it break above 700. That is your channel range here on Tesla. And I think, I truly believe that investors, traders are just waiting to see what this earnings report says on Monday after hours, and then we can see that next move on Tesla. Because right now it has been pretty muted. It's been stuck between the 620 and 700 for almost a month now. So pretty muted move here on Tesla. You've had some pushes higher, but really just not much momentum there. It looks like every spike higher has been getting sold into. The last spike here went on the 19th and 20th, got sold off very quickly and did not push as high as the previous one off this 620. So this is a little bit of a lower high, which is a tad bit concerning. But with earnings coming up, with that catalyst coming up, it's hard to tell with just technicals what's going to happen here. All I can say here is to watch 620 support and 700 resistance, which is this range that you guys see right here. So this range right here is the range that Tesla is trading in right now. And whatever way we go, that will be the start of the next move, in my opinion. So watch Tesla. Earnings on Monday. We'll see how it reports or how it reacts during the day. It should be quite interesting. I would not assume there will be much of a big move during the day on Monday. They'll probably try to limit the move on Monday so that most of the move comes, on earnings or the continuation move after. I think there's going to be a lot of hand swapping, a lot of people undecided. Do I hold through earnings? Do I take profits here? Do I take my loss? It's going to be a lot of trading. Getting ready for that earnings should be very interesting to watch. Should be fun to see what happens. And either way, I will definitely be trading the continuation on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday. As long as this thing has a nice trend, I will definitely be looking to trade it. So that is Tesla. The final one I have for you guys today is Roku. Roku has a monster move on Friday. I mean, this thing was big. And this thing closed at the highs. I have not seen a day like this on Roku in some time now. We did get a big consecutive move here on Roku recently, but this single candle, just a huge move here on Friday. Now, if we look at this, it's actually a very clean flag breakout. So a very clean flag on the daily chart, a beautiful pullback to previous resistance. Look at this beautiful break and retest of previous resistance. Here was your resistance. Here's your break. Here's your retest. And a awesome break of this flag pattern, a huge move on Friday. So if I was to watch one stock for continuation on next week, Roku would be the one. The reason I say that is because you're coming right off of this break and retest. You're coming right out of this bull flag breakout on the daily chart, which is a strong bull flag breakout because it's on the daily. It's not a 1 minute flag breakout. It's not a 5 minute flag breakout. This is a daily flag breakout with gigantic volume, a huge daily candle. Earnings coming up, I would assume that you get a little bit more into earnings. Maybe we try to test these all-time highs. Now, I'm not even, I wouldn't even be surprised to see this open tomorrow morning at all-time highs, the way that this thing closed. If we go to the 1 minute chart, you guys can see, look at the strength all day. Not a single time did we even consider pulling back intraday. This thing just grinded higher all day into close, making new highs after hours. So this trend gives me, gives me the idea, gives me, makes me think that this thing definitely has some more room to go. So Roku, the best for last in my opinion. This is the one that I'm going to be watching. Look at this beautiful bull flag breakout, beautiful break and retest, awesome support here at around 390, 400. Move higher. I'm going to assume this thing tests all-time highs next week. So watch Roku. That is my last one, and I think I saved the best one for last year. So guys, those are the 5 stocks that I'm watching next week. It's going to be a very exciting week, a lot of earnings coming out. The 5 stocks that we talked about today, a lot of momentum, a lot of potential continuation, a lot of people looking at these names. They had huge moves on Friday. They've been on very strong streaks in the recent trend. So maybe you get the pullbacks, maybe you continue higher, but either way, these stocks, in my opinion, are must-watches because of the continuation and because of the momentum that are in them. The stocks that you want to be trading and you want to be looking at on a daily basis are the ones that everyone else is looking at. If you're a trader, you want to be in that momentum and you want to be in those stocks that have that high volume, that are pushing to the upside, almost near those all-time highs. Of course, like I said, maybe some pullbacks, maybe a Monday, taking profit, Monday sell-off. That is always possible after a huge move on Friday. So be aware of that. But either way, it's going to be an exciting week. Hopefully this video helps you out with the watch list, with some stocks to watch. Make sure to be aware of the earnings coming out. Don't take call options or put options through earnings if you're not aware of the potential risks through implied volatility crush and expected moves. So make sure you know about that before taking these plays. I have videos on the channel explaining that if you'd like to check them out. With all of this said, thank you guys for watching. Press that like button if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to come check out the live streams every single morning from 8 a.m. to around 8:45 a.m. where we review these charts every day on a daily basis and we go over the futures contracts. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.